Some actors don't just appear on screen, they unsettle it. From the very first frame, they feel out of sync with Hollywood's usual rhythm, as if they're playing by rules no one else can see. Think of Benicio del Toro, whose quiet, fractured energy says more in silence than most do in monologues. Or Tilda Swinton, radiating an almost alien intensity, as though she wandered in from another universe and decided to stay. Then there's James Spader, an actor who built an entire career out of becoming the kind of person your therapist would tell you to avoid. While others chased leading man charm and clean-cut heroism, Spader leaned hard in the opposite direction. He sought out characters who were morally slippery, psychologically layered, and often deeply unsettling. Where his peers aimed to be admired, he chose to be questioned. In this video, we're diving deep into the strange and deliberate path James Spader carved for himself. We'll uncover how he made a name by resisting typecasting, why he's always existed just outside Hollywood's inner circle, what keeps pulling him toward characters who live in the shadows of right and wrong, and what the future holds for one of cinema's most quietly disturbing presences. James Todd Spader was born in Boston in 1960 into a home shaped by two teachers and a steady flow of ideas. That background matters because it hints at a childhood where thinking deeply wasn't optional, it was normal. Conversation mattered, curiosity mattered. From there, he went on to Phillips Academy in Andover, one of the most elite prep schools in the country, a place designed to send students straight to the Ivy League and then into positions of power. But at 17, Spader stepped away from that future. He dropped out and moved to New York to chase acting, making the first bold decision that would define his life. Instead of college lecture halls, he took whatever work he could find. He taught yoga, he drove trucks, he worked as a stable hand. These were tough, physical jobs, far removed from the polished paths his classmates were expected to follow. By the early 1980s, Spader began landing film roles. He had the face of a leading man, sharp features, an intense stare, and a refined presence the camera loved. At the same time, the Brat Pack was rising, and Spader fit the age, the look, and the social circles. Yet he never fully belonged. In Mannequin, 1987, he played a slimy corporate villain, almost a cartoon version of entitlement. In Tough Turf, he was the rich bully. In Pretty in Pink, he became Steph, the privileged prep kid who hurts people without a second thought. These roles weren't deeply layered, but they did something important. They created a pattern. Spader became the man audiences loved to hate. In Oliver Stone's Wall Street, he added something extra to that image. You couldn't quite tell what his character was thinking, and that mystery stuck. Then came Less Than Zero, 1987, where he played a drug dealer with a frightening calm. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was cold, casual, and disturbing. Everything changed in 1989 with Steven Soderbergh's debut film, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. The movie premiered at Sundance, won the Palme d'Or, and helped ignite the American independent film movement. Spader played Graham Dalton, a drifting, sexually impotent man who connects with women only by filming them as they talk about their most intimate experiences. Graham is uncomfortable to watch, quietly manipulative, emotionally distant, and deeply broken. He represents a specific kind of damaged masculinity, a man who has thought his way out of real intimacy. Graham builds a system that lets him feel close to others while keeping true vulnerability at a safe distance. Spader's performance is subtle and unsettling. He speaks softly, he seems gentle, and that calm surface makes the character's inner damage even more disturbing. The role earned Spader the Best Actor award at Cannes, turning him at just 29 into a critically respected performer. But here's the key point. This success didn't push him toward traditional stardom. Instead, it validated his instincts. Hollywood now understood what Spader offered: intelligence, intensity, and a fearless dive into moral gray areas that made people uneasy. The film itself proved something important. Small, character-driven stories about psychological complexity could succeed both critically and commercially. For Spader, it wasn't just a breakthrough, it was permission. Permission to keep choosing roles that exposed parts of human nature we usually avoid. After Sex, Lies, and Videotape, he could have chased romantic leads or big studio films. Once again, he chose another path. He leaned into complexity, deliberately searching for characters shaped by obsession, control, and fragile identity. He had found his territory, and he committed to exploring it fully. That journey continued in White Palace in 1990, where he played Max, a tight-wound widower who falls for an older working-class waitress. Max is restrained, emotionally scarred, and awkward, but undeniably human. In this role, you can see Spader pushing past simple archetypes, uncovering the deeper layers beneath them, and setting the course for the career he would truly make his own. From the very start, a pattern took shape. Instead of chasing what felt safe or familiar, Spader kept leaning toward characters with shadows. He preferred the uneasy over the easy, the unsettling over the reassuring. Early on, it was obvious he had no desire to be the clean-cut hero audiences could instantly root for. Take Bad Influence in 1990. Spader plays Michael, a quiet, orderly analyst whose calm life begins to fall apart after meeting Alex, a smooth-talking drifter played by Rob Lowe, with danger hiding just beneath the charm. What makes the performance work is how subtle the collapse feels. You understand exactly why Michael is pulled in, even while every warning sign is flashing. The tension lives in that contradiction. By 1993's Dream Lover, the roles reverse. This time, Spader plays a man who becomes fixated on his new wife, slowly realizing she may be controlling him. The story dives into jealousy, fear, and the hunger for power, showing how desire can rot into obsession. It's not just about love, it's about who holds control and who thinks they do. These films gave Spader room to explore identity itself. His characters often wear masks, shaping versions of themselves to get what they want. They are rarely just victims or villains. Most of the time, they are both at once. What sets his work apart from typical thrillers is intelligence. He doesn't just show the emotion, he reveals how it works. Then came Stargate in 1994, his biggest mainstream success and the closest he ever got to a traditional movie hero. As Dr. Daniel Jackson, a curious linguist who helps unlock a gateway to other worlds, Spader plays brilliance without arrogance. Standing next to Kurt Russell's tough military presence, he brings gentleness, warmth, and wonder, qualities that would become rare in his later roles. Here's what matters most. Many actors would have used that success as a launchpad into non-stop blockbuster fame. Spader didn't. He treated Stargate like a brief stop, acknowledged the applause, and then turned right back towards stranger, riskier material. The early 90s marked the peak of the erotic thriller, and Spader emerged as its most thoughtful figure. These movies weren't made to win awards, they were designed to provoke and excite. But Spader added layers, psychology, tension, and restraint that made them linger. David Cronenberg's Crash pushed this exploration to its furthest edge. Spader plays a television director drawn into a secretive group obsessed with car crashes as a source of desire. The subject matter is shocking, but Spader's calm, almost clinical approach makes it even more disturbing. He doesn't judge the behavior, he simply exposes it. As the decade wound down, he stayed busy with films like Keys to Tulsa, Driftwood, Critical Care, and Curtain Call, rounding out a restless stretch of late 90s work. Then came Secretary in 2002, a turning point that rises far above its genre. Playing E. Edward Gray, a lawyer who enters an unconventional relationship with his secretary, portrayed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, Spader delivers one of his most controlled performances. In lesser hands, the character could have felt shallow or predatory. Instead, the film becomes a daring love story, and Spader's restraint is what makes it believable. Together, these roles cemented his reputation as cinema's sharpest explorer of power, desire, and obsession. He could still slip into pure villainy when needed. In Wolf, 1994, he plays Richard, the ruthless corporate climber who betrays Jack Nicholson's character, triggering a brutal reckoning. And in 2003, he reinvented himself again on television with The Practice, joining the show as Alan Shore, a razor-sharp lawyer who treats the courtroom like a chessboard. The character was so magnetic that creator David E. Kelley built an entire series around him. By then, the pattern was undeniable. Spader never followed the obvious path. He followed the interesting one, and made a career out of walking straight into the dark corners most actors avoid. Shaw doesn't operate by a fixed moral code. He takes cases because they intrigue him, not because they're right or wrong. Ethics for him are flexible. What isn't flexible is his mastery of words. Shaw uses language like a weapon, bending conversations to his will, talking himself into or out of almost anything. And yet, beneath the charm and cleverness, beneath the constant performance, there's something fragile, a deep loneliness, a quiet, desperate need for someone to see who he really is when the act drops. That's where Denny Crane comes in. Played by William Shatner, Denny becomes Shaw's emotional anchor and the beating heart of Boston Legal. They're two broken men who recognize themselves in each other, and in that recognition, they find honesty. What the show ultimately proved was this: James Spader could thrive in mainstream television without sanding down his odd edges. He didn't have to become safe to become successful. Then, in 2013, Spader stepped into the role that would define the next era of his career: Raymond Reddington and NBC's The Blacklist. Reddington is a former government operative turned elite criminal who voluntarily hands himself over to the FBI, offering access to a secret list of the world's most dangerous criminals. On paper, Red is Spader's most approachable character, built for network television, designed to pull in a wide audience. But make no mistake, he is pure Spader. What Spader does with Reddington is almost alchemy. He turns exposition into entertainment. Red often delivers massive chunks of plot, but it never feels heavy. The cadence of his voice, the unexpected pauses, the way he lingers on certain words like they're meant to be tasted, forces you to listen. You don't just hear the dialogue, you savor it. The Blacklist ran for 10 seasons and over 200 episodes, making it Spader's longest-running role and likely his most recognizable. If Spader feels mysterious on screen, he's even more elusive off it. He gives few interviews, and when he does, they tend to reveal very little. He avoids talking about his personal life. When asked about his choices or his process, he speaks in abstractions, circling answers rather than landing on them, a style that feels perfectly, unmistakably Spader. He approaches character like an engineer solving a puzzle. For him, performance is built from the outside in as much as the inside out: posture, rhythm, structure, mechanics. He's been married twice, has 3 sons, and lives in New York instead of Los Angeles. Even that feels intentional. Spader has openly described himself as someone who needs solitude, someone drained by Hollywood's constant social machinery. There's a sense that acting allows him to engage with the world at a safe distance, close enough to explore human emotion and psychology, but far enough to remain protected. What's remarkable is how consistent his choices have been across 4 decades. In 2015, Spader voiced Ultron in Avengers: Age of Ultron. On the surface, it looked like a sharp turn into blockbuster territory for an actor known for cerebral, offbeat roles. But he didn't treat it lightly. He performed the role in motion capture, giving the character physical presence, and infused Ultron with dark humor and unsettling intelligence. The result was a villain that felt alive, not just another digital threat, but something genuinely menacing. Now, in his mid-60s, Spader has achieved something rare in Hollywood, a career shaped entirely on his own terms. He never chased traditional movie star status, yet his body of work is unmistakable. Even in brief appearances, like his slippery, memorable turn as W.N. Bilbo in Spielberg's Lincoln, he remains utterly himself. Across his career, Spader has been fascinated by power, how it's gained, how it's performed, how it corrodes, and how it connects. His characters manipulate, negotiate, seduce, and deceive, but he never condemns them. Instead, he searches for the human wound beneath the behavior, the need that drives the performance. At the heart of his work is a fixation on identity, on the masks we wear and the roles we play to survive. And while many of his performances are exceptional on their own, Spader's true impact lies in what he made possible. His influence runs deep in modern television, especially in the rise of the anti-hero, The intelligent manipulator, the charming monster, the articulate predator who somehow earns our sympathy. He taught audiences how to sit with discomfort, how to recognize humanity in people we'd rather dismiss as villains. Characters like Walter White, Don Draper, and countless others walk paths Spader helped carve. As for what comes next, Spader, true to form, isn't saying much. And that restraint, that refusal to bend or explain himself, feels like its own quiet kind of integrity. It's also why he remains endlessly fascinating. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one.